morning, folks. Larry here from Larry's Fountain Pen Reviews, and Happy New Year Day. Today we kick off a new year, January 1st, 2020. And to start off the brand new year, I thought, why not let's start it off with a bang. So the person I feel that can fill that bill is going to be no other than Jim Hinze Custom Pens, right here in Richardson, Texas. So Jim invited me to his home, and I'm going to be talking with Jim and asking him this and that, and he's going to answer these questions. A lot of questions a lot of you folks out there have been asking. So Jim's here, I'm here, and Mr. Announcer is running the camera. So let's get started. Jim Hinze here, and
hi everybody.
We'll be making the Philadelphia Pen Show.
Yep, it's January 17th, 18th, and 19th, or 16th, 17th, 18th. But a couple weeks from now, we'll be in Philadelphia. It'll be our first time there. Looking forward to it.
Now, the last time Jim and I got together, it was been about, what, 3-4 years?
2.5, 3 years ago, yeah. Where I was up in Anna.
So, we're back, and I think we're going to do this once or twice a year.
Okay.
Yeah. My first question to Jim is, what got you interested in making fountain pens?
That's a long story. So when I started woodworking in general, it was flat work. I used to build furniture, and in fact, if y'all give me a second, I used to make old-fashioned wooden hand planes. So I used to teach people how to make them. I used to teach a lot of different things, but I was doing a lot of flat work, and I belonged to a club up in Michigan called the Southeast Woodworkers. And every month, somebody would demo something, a new skill, something they were working on, and one of my friends happened to come in and say, okay, I'm going to show you how to turn a pen. And it was a little kit pen, slimline pen, and at the end of it, he's like, would anybody like to try? I've got a few extras. And I said, sure, let me give it a whirl. Now bear in mind, I used to make fun of people that would spin wood in circles rather than cut and build and whatnot. And I had such a good time, I bought a lathe that night and started adding that to what I did. And over time, I just became fascinated with it. And then probably 2013, 2014-ish, I had watched a video on YouTube, and it was a whole series of videos, the masters of the fountain pen. It was all the Japanese masters. And one in particular from Hakase Pens really struck a chord, and I'm watching the video, and I'm like, I'm going to teach myself how to do this. And from that minute on, everything I'd done for the next couple of years was to prepare for what I'm doing now. And back then, there weren't a lot of people talking about it, teaching it. There weren't a lot of videos. It was kind of a trial and error thing. And now a lot of people were helpful in answering questions. So, but yeah, it's a long story, is how I got into it.
Now, Jim, what is the hardest part in making a pen that you have found? Would it be?
Well, I got two answers for you. So if I'm making everything from scratch, it's a clip.
I was going to say that.
I don't enjoy clip making. I make them. In fact, I've got a machine back here in the corner. It's a mill. It helps me do the rings, shape the metal. I like metalwork. I'll make a lot of my own bands and decorations for pens, but clips sometimes can take me as long to make the clip as it does the pen. for special pens and things like that, I'll do it. But for my everyday models or for what people want to spend anywhere from $150 to $200 on a pen with a steel nib, I can't make a clip cost effective for that style. So I will buy clips. I'll buy quality clips, and so far they've been well received. The other hard part, if you're just talking pen making in general, is making the same pen repetitively, making it identical. A lot of what I do is handmade. I don't have machines programming just to kick out the same dimensions every time. I got to do it by hand. And sometimes there's some slight variations.
But that's what makes your pens so unique. They're not going to be copies of each other. They're all going to have some slight difference.
Yeah, and as much as I try, if I make two Blue Storms, there are going to be some minute differences. I might be the only one that picks up on them. I might be the only one to identify them, but there are some differences. But, you know, that's really it. And coming up with new designs.
Here's a real important question. What makes your pen better than others?
I find it difficult for me to say that my pens are better than anybody else's. If you look at the custom pen makers out there, Jonathan Brooks, Sean Newton, Chet Herbert, Mike Allen, Troy Breeding, Hunter Nick pens, they're all good friends of mine. But if you took all of our pens and put them on a table, they're all different. In fact, knowing their work, I can tell you who's belong to who. And there are a lot of pen aficionados out there that can tell you who belongs to who. I have a different style than other people. It's not necessarily that they're any better or worse.
Okay.
I do have some things that I like to count as pluses in my court. You know, I pay very close attention to the finished product going out the door. Does it mean I'm perfect? No. I still end up with mistakes or defects. But for the most part, attention to detail. And I like to think the nib you get from me is a little smoother than what you get from somebody else. With the exception of maybe Jonathan or Sean. They do a lot of their own grinding. I haven't gone down that rabbit hole yet.
Okay, so then, another important question. Do you have any type of warranty on the pens? If so, how long is the warranty and what does it cover and not cover? So
yeah, I do warranty the pen, and in general I'll say it's a year warranty free from manufacturing defects. Now, if you've clearly abused your pen, you've abused it.
That's it, yeah.
The honeycomb you just reviewed.
Right.
I sold a few of those in Denver. One of them was to a nurse out in Denver, and she had taken it out at work. I don't know what happened, but it cracked. The aluminum broke free. She emailed me, it was probably 2 weeks after the Denver show, sent me pictures. I said, okay, made her a new body, shipped it away. You know, I didn't even really, at that point, the pen was too new. Even if she dropped it or stepped on it or whatever, she's not happy, we'll get her new. And within reason, I mean, I stand behind my work.
But then I think you also have to be careful and take care of Jim's side, because I'm sure that a lot of people nowadays will take advantage of that and say this and that.
They can, but I mean, and here's the thing, if it's obvious, you threw it across the room and it cracked.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the durability of some of my materials.
Okay.
The honeycomb, it's not a tremendously durable material. I don't want you throwing it around or dropping it or whatnot. And like you mentioned in your review video, don't eyedrop it.
Right.
You know, the eyedropper, that aluminum over time is gonna break free. But you come back to me like 3 times with the same problem. You know, you broke the clip off 3 times. okay, you're obviously doing something to break the clip off. Enough. But within reason, yeah, I'm going to make sure you're happy when you have one of my pens.
How about this one? Do you, and here, this is the major one.
Okay.
Okay. And hopefully this will put this to rest.
Oh boy.
Do you have any plans of making different size of pen? Smaller,
Yes.
thinner,
Yes.
girthier, and heavier. This is what people are asking.
So, all right, let's address the smaller first, because one of the complaints I had is my pens are big. Yes, my pens are big. I have big hands. When I started making pens, I try to make them so that I'm comfortable writing with them. And I realize that's kind of a selfish flaw, so to speak. So yes, we have a Pro series that will be coming out that is probably a good half-inch shorter and probably a 1/2 millimeter less in diameter of, say, my Blue Storm.
And what is that one? Is that the Pro?
So the first, in general, the term's going to be Pro, and it's going to be, you know, pocket-friendly. If you look at January Pen World in the Trends 2020 section, you'll see us mentioned with the Americanas. So if you've seen the Americanas on the website, we've got an Americana and Americana Slim, and they're long, girthy pens. The Americana Pro, which is pictured, it's in jade ebonite, is considerably smaller. So you'll start seeing those come out here first quarter. And we're going to try and do that size with some of the standard models. So we'll try and cut down the Blue Storm a little bit. We'll try and cut down the Beacon a little bit. So if you don't want a really long pen, you don't have to have a really long pen. Now, bigger, girthier. I have one of the biggest pens out now. It's on the platform of the old Deltas.
Okay.
You know those big honking Deltas?
I like that, yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
it's called the Avant Co. It's not on the website. Yeah, we looked at it just a little bit ago. In fact, if we pause that, can I go grab it?
Okay.
Can you cut that and smooth it?
1 second, hold on. Folks,
Okay.
we're going to take a little quick break so Jim can go get you an awesome pen. We'll be right back, okay? Hold on. Okay, we are back, and again, the question to Jim was, do you have any plans to make different sizes of pens, smaller, thinner, girthier, and heavier?
Yep.
And he is going to elaborate on that now again, so let's do it.
So let's start with the bigger pens, and this is why I asked them to pause the video. So these two here, we call the Avant Co model, and it was originally spec'd and designed by a customer of mine in Canada. He's a great guy, and I really like what he came up with here. So the beauty of the Avant Co is it posts very, very deeply. So even though it's a big, long pen, it doesn't extend up very long. But when we say girthy, we'll do some measurements here. So this is just about 5/8 of an inch right here at the threads. And it is 5/8 at the back, so that's 16 millimeters. The cap is 0.71, which is 18.25, 18¼ mil. So this is like the old Deltas. And the same thing, it posts very, very deeply and securely like the old Deltas.
Right, right. Uh-huh.
Right? And it's got quad start threads, which are hand cut on the lathe. It comes with or without a clip, flat or rounded top. And for smaller pens, so let's see. Here's Larry's new Blue Storm. He reviewed this. He got this at the Dallas Pen Show.
Yes.
And this is.
And wait, before you go any further, and I've had that ink all the way, head stop. So, okay, okay.
So this is one of my standard size pens. We're going to be coming out with a much smaller pen, as you can see here. It's a good half inch, maybe a little more
And it's really
shorter.
a neat pen, a nice pen, nice size.
And even when posted, you can see a very, very big difference.
Yeah, major difference. Yeah. I like that size.
So, can I make or do I make smaller pens? Yes, I do. I'm happy to. And as we mentioned in the magazine, if you take a look, I didn't grab it, by the way.
Okay.
We'll grab it later. The Pro Series will come out. This is another one here. This one's actually a rollerball. So I also do rollerballs if you're not into fountain pens.
Yes. And real quick on this rollerball, for me, I have some friends right now.
I forgot to close the
That's
door.
fine with me. The grip on this section here, on this rollerball, the way it's shaped, I've never seen one like it. I think it's really unique. It's really cool. So
I think it's comfortable to write with. I think the refill needs to be replaced.
interesting. Okay. All right.
And for those of you who are familiar with Papier Plume inks, they have a Blues special edition fountain pen coming out to celebrate their new ink called the Blues. I did the pen. It's actually even smaller than this guy here. It's I believe 14 millimeters in diameter.
But,
It's one of the thinnest pens I've
but then after you post it, it's regular full-size pen.
It is, yeah. It posts deeply like the Avant Co's do. You know, so not just like a normal pen I make will post like maybe that far. This one goes, you know, all the way down like that one does. So yeah, we are gonna. You'll see a lot of different things from us this year. If you've been resisting buying one of my pens because they're too big, I think we got you covered.
Because like the vintage, the Parker Vintage 51 is really a nice size pen. And that's a hooded nib. Have
Yep.
you ever thought about making a hooded nib pen?
Actually, I'm in the process of working with one of the Fort Worth Pen Club members on a hooded nib pen.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll do one. I'm not sure how it's going to come out yet. There's some intricacies in the design, but yeah.
Okay, so then, how many people actually make pens with you?
There's myself and my apprentice, who she was at a New Year's Eve party last night. She should be making an appearance sometime today, but yeah. So actual manufacturers, there's two of us.
Okay. So how many pens can you put out a day?
That's an interesting question. If it's just me and I have nothing else going on, and I ignore my phone and emails and everything else, in a 10-hour day, I can put out between 6 and 8.
When do you offer classes on pen making, and how long does it take to complete one of the classes?
So generally, I do them with penmaker gatherings. There are 3 penmaker gatherings that go on annually. And when I say penmaker gatherings, they're the guys who make kit pens. So there's a lot of kit pen makers out there that want to jump in or start making pens like this. But there isn't a lot of help for them out there. I'm one of the few guys that actually teach these people how to do it. So I'll do it in conjunction with those gatherings, depending on your skill level. And most of these guys have been on lathes before. They're not unfamiliar with the tooling. Class is 3 hours. Okay. If you've never touched a lathe before, you've never done work with stuff like that, it's going to take a lot longer. And jumping into making something like this probably isn't the best course. You need to get a little experience behind you. But at the same time too, if somebody wants to take a class and it's outside there, they can always come visit me here in the shop, and we'll schedule an afternoon on a weekend or whatnot and let them come out and do it.
Okay, so how about this one? Are there any certain types of pens you don't care to make? I mean, just end of story.
I don't like demonstrators, but I'm making them now.
Finally, I've had people on my channel ask, when is Jim going to make a clear demonstrator? Like, demonstrator?
And the one that Larry reviewed today with the aluminum, not all my demonstrators are like that. I've got some demonstrators that are straight resin that you can eyedropper. I guess my aversion to them is when the demonstrator first came out, it was just for that purpose. It was just to demonstrate how a fountain pen works. And then everybody's like, oh my God, I gotta have one. And then it became all the rage. And it's great, I think they're fun. My only issue is it takes me almost as long to polish the inside of the barrel as it does to make the pen sometimes.
Wow.
So it's kind of a love-hate.
Okay, here's one. When a customer, and that's you, me, hopefully not, when a customer orders a pen and it's out of stock, or it's a pen they want made a particular way, like I had once, how long does it take to make it and get it to the customer?
There isn't a real easy question for that. Stella, in.
Hi, Stella.
Inside.
Oh.
A lot depends on what my work queue is. Is it around the pen show? Is it the busy season? In general, 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes longer, sometimes not. I've had, believe it or not, I've had a customer wait about a year. Had 5 pens, they were special, very unique. But I try and communicate throughout the process. And when you order, I try and let you know approximately how long it's going to take. Sometimes you get lucky. If I'm prepping for a pen show and I can work it into the mix real quick, or it happens to be one I'm already making, sometimes I've had people honestly wait a week and get from scratch custom made pen. So it varies.
Here's one, because I have people all over the world that watch my channel: India, UK, Australia, Spain, Germany, just all over really. Do you ship overseas? If so, how much is the overseas shipping?
So I have customers on virtually every continent except Antarctica. And I've shipped to every continent except Antarctica. I think it's $35, $32.50, $35 is international flat rate to most countries. So I just kind of cap it at that.
Okay. Well, there you go. People from India and all over, they've been asking. There you are.
I just shipped a pen to Germany right before Christmas. I did a video chat with a gentleman from India not too long ago. We've got 2 pens in the works for him. So yeah, no worries.
Cool. All right then. We just showed this, but do you make any ballpoint or rollerball pens? Of course, you just showed.
Do rollerballs. I haven't done a ballpoint in a while. Most of the ballpoints I've done in the past have been kit-based pens. But I do purchase the ballpoint mechanism separately and make the cone myself out of either stainless steel or aluminum. So if you want one, it's not something I do regularly, but I will be happy to work with you on it.
How many pen shows do you plan on making this year in 2020?
So let's see, 2018 I did 6. Last year we did 8. We've already added 2 and are working on another. We're probably going to end up doing 10 or 11 this year in total.
Okay. Here's one though, it's kind of partly repeated, but how many people on your team, which you talked about, making pins, planning, and selling pins?
So, and that varies from time to time. So, making pens, there's 2 of us. And Jessie, who is my apprentice, she works part-time. Francisco, many of you, if you've ever come to see me at a pen show, Francisco Lopez is always with me. He always travels with me. And then we've got Elise, who makes pen rolls and things like that. And that's really the team right now. My daughter, who helps with some resin from time to time. But we're looking to add some more. I would like to add some more sales help while we're at the pen shows. And I'd like to find another apprentice to work with us making pens here so we can increase our throughput. The one thing I won't do is bring in CNC machines. I've been a software developer for 32 years. The last thing I want to do is come home and program a pen. Plus, not taking anything away from CNC machine pens, but they kind of lack soul. They're cookie cutter. So if we grow and we become a major player, it's going to be with actual warm bodies, working on a lathe, and not a computer running a machine.
How big do you want your team to grow?
I'd love to have 3 or 4 full-time pen makers in here. And ultimately, I think a long-term goal would be to have a storefront here in Dallas that does ink, stationery, and my pens. That's kind of like a 5-year plan.
I mean, so yeah, if you had a large enough team, they could be making pens every day and have all enough pens in stock, so you can sell on your website and when you get ready for the pen show, right?
We could do that, plus retailers. See,
Retailers, correct.
retailers like Van Ness, I love Lisa, but she'd order anywhere from 50 to 150 pens of a given style at any time. It takes me a long time to produce that many pens. If I had a team of 4, we could do that inside of a week or 2.
Yeah.
So long term, that's kind of where we want to go.
But is it mostly just you on the machine making a pen? Because you're here all the time.
Well, I get up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I come out here before work, and I make pens until I go to my day job, and then I come home and I polish what I was making in the morning. Jessie works on the weekends. That's her lathe behind us right there.
Oh, okay.
She works in that little one. I work on the one right over here. And then I've got a 3rd one on the back there just waiting for somebody to come in and take over.
So what is your vision for 2020? And are you planning to expand the line of pens that you create?
Actually, yeah, we're going to, well, one, we're going to hit more pen shows, and I want to become a more recognized brand. I think today, when I go to a pen show I haven't been to before, people have heard of me. And I'm starting to get a fairly sizable following. But I'd like to be a more recognized brand. And I'd like to be, when someone says, oh, I want a custom pen, I want to be in the top 3 in their minds of people they want to order from. I think that would be good. And then, we're going to expand. We're going to retire some models this year. I think there's some models that really have never caught on that are on the website that we're just going to put to bed, and we're going to bring in a few new ones. And we're always bringing in new materials and colors. I pour some of my own resins. I buy some of my resins. I can pour 3 colors, up to 3 colors adequately. We go beyond 3 colors, and that's not me. I'm not that talented when it comes to resin. There are other people better, and I'm more than willing to buy from them. Diamond cast. Many of you guys have seen and want diamond cast. We've been working with diamond cast for 3 years now. The Bifrost pen, I think he calls that oil slick is his resin name. I think we're the first ones to introduce at a pen show that resin, and have been using it ever since. So we'll get more colors from him. We have a custom Hinze only color from Mackenzie and Diamond Cast.
Isn't that beautiful? Can you get a close-up, Mr. Nance, on this?
It's copper and silver and bronze and black. It's absolutely gorgeous.
That is stunning. For real, folks. You may not can tell it on your end, but on my end, it is stunning. Now, Jim gave you one, not like that, but something similar, but this is totally different. This just blew me away when I saw it. Wow! That's the wow factor. Okay?
So, and we're going to do some more things like that with them. So, you know, if there's a color that you want that I don't have or you don't see, and what are the advantages of coming to a custom pen maker? Just because I have 13 standard models on the website, you're not limited to that. If you want something different, you want something unique, email me, call me, let's go over specs, and we'll create what you want.
Here's one. What type of nibs do you use? Steel, gold, titanium, all three? What?
So you already know the answer to that question,
Yeah.
but for the folks who don't know, I use all three, steel, gold, and titanium. I use both 18 and 14 karat gold. I do not like the palladium nibs, and I won't use those at all. I don't think that Bach has worked out how best to make that metal work. There's just, Visconti especially, has too many problems with the palladium nibs. But, you know, the titanium nibs, I love the titanium nibs from Bach. I love the number 8s, the really big ones. And as far as nib goes, my first choice is always Yovo. I think from a quality standpoint, they're consistent. I've only ever had a handful of them not be great from the get-go. Bach, on the other hand, I think has quality problems. They may be in the process of solving them, but anybody who's had Visconti nib problems, they're not Visconti nibs, they're Bach nibs. You have a Bach nib problem. So if you get a good one, they're great. If you don't, not so much.
How about, what nib size do you offer? A whole bunch of different nib sizes.
You don't see many 5s out of me, but we do number 5s. We do 6s, we do 8s. It's unfortunate though, Yovo cut out their 8s. So we use Bach 8s instead. And their gold and titanium 8s are good quality.
Yeah, I love the Bach titanium. I have 2 carats customs titanium on them. I just want it, and they're fabulous. I love it. Yeah. Really nice.
But we don't go any smaller or any bigger.
Now, didn't you mention way back about colored nibs? You have red,
yep.
green.
So one of the things that folks know me from is having colored nibs, purple, blue. Hang on. Close this door.
We'll be right back, and don't go away, because we're right back.
I'm right back. We got the dogs out, and I closed the door so we don't hear the barking. So blue, purple, green, black, red have been the colored nibs. Now, the people who used to make those for me no longer make them. So we're in the process, and we almost have all the equipment, but we're in the process of buying all the equipment so we can do it ourselves here. The process is actually electroplating. It's not a painted lacquer or anything like that. It's a ceramic nano coating that gets done under high wattage. So we'll be doing those here very shortly. Now, I know a lot of people have seen them or have had them done and had, I'm going to show your green nib. So that will happen from time to time. So there's a couple reasons why this happens. One, the ink being used is rather abrasive or caustic. So I'll tell you flat, Noodler's inks, not with these. You might want to use it with a normal steel nib, but anything plated that includes gold plating, Noodler's inks are very rough. Bay State Blue is probably one of the worst of them, and I know everybody loves it.
I love it, yeah.
Private Reserve, some of their inks can also be rather harsh and causes. Taking the nib in and out of the housing repeatedly and cleaning it with flush
Right,
will cause it to friction off. Just like it,
right.
if you have an old gold-plated nib, steel nib, over time that plating will rub
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Okay?
So on your nibs that you're
Yes.
planning on coloring, what material do you use for the nibs?
It'll be a stainless steel nib, and it's like I said, it's a ceramic nano coating that gets plated on. And I don't have an actual chemical formula. It's just that's what the manufacturer calls it.
Is it a liquid?
It comes in liquid form, gets warmed up, and then you hook a bunch of electrodes. It works just like electroplating. You hook electrodes up to it. There's a stainless steel anode in there. You dip the nib in there for I think 3 minutes, and it actually adheres to it. And then you dry it and cure it in an oven at I think 170 degrees for 45 minutes.
Are you making any black nibs too?
We'll do black too. And there's a bunch of other colors that we can do that we haven't, like pink, copper, orange, and some things like that. And what we will do, hang on. If you don't use Noodler's inks and the nib ends up peeling like that, we'll do one coating a year. So we'll do one recoat a year. So if it chips off in say 8 months, you send it back to us, we'll recoat it and send it back.
See, I do use Noodler's ink, so.
Well,
But
stop.
that's okay, I won't
Don't do
send
it.
it back. I won't send it back, yeah, got it, because I'll just send it back. But anyway, on the size of nibs you offer,
Yeah.
extra fine, fine, medium, 1.1, 1.5, deal 1.9, you deal 1.0,
So-
you do extra fine.
All right, so we'll do standard extra that I'll take to a show. Extra fine, medium, broad, 1.1, 1.5. Those are my standard Yovo lines. For Bach, if the pen will take a Bach nib, I usually have a fine, a medium, a broad, and a double broad hanging around. I can get for you any of the Bach 1.1, 1.5, or 1.9 stubs. If you want it reground extra fine, I don't regrind the nibs here, but my supplier will do it before it comes to me. So if you want extra fine or extra fine or needle point, I can have it done for you. There'll be a little extra charge,
Yeah,
because they charge me to do it. And at some point, if I get brave enough, I'll try grinding my nibs myself. But right now, I don't do that. Let me silence this thing so it doesn't keep bugging us. There we go.
okay, so, do you check to make sure each nib performs as it should, smooth and wet?
Yes. So most of the pens, if you're ordering a Yovo nib from me, I'll dip it, do a quick writing sample, and off it goes. Bach nibs, I will fully ink up, and I'll sit down and already have my micro mesh ready. Sometimes even a Dremel tool to take care of it, because inevitably I have to do a lot of work on Bach nibs. Now, 9 times out of 10, that Yovo nib I get is perfect out of the box. I don't have to touch it. I did ship one here to a customer in Oregon. Yeah, Oregon. Hi Lisa, I'm sure she'll see this video. She got one with a medium Yovo 14 karat gold nib. And when we wrote with it, it was scratchy when you wrote horizontally to the right. So spent about 15 minutes and got that all taken care of.
Yeah, Lisa, yeah, she told me, yeah. Hi, Lisa! Okay, so, one thing I wanted to ask you, for people out there that number 6 nib, Joe nibs, and they want to change out nibs, and they want to buy a Bach nib to put in there, is that going to work for them, yes or no? And if not, why?
Okay, so if they do it themselves, it's not going to work.
Because I'm talking about just replacing the nib.
Yeah, so even though a Yovo number 6 and Bach number 6 are 6 millimeters across, they're curved differently. So the feed will not, it's just, it doesn't work. Okay, there's different geometry. However, there is here in Texas, Flexible Nib Factory. I don't know if you've heard of them or not. They're over in Carrollton. And your friends over at in Plano.
Fountain Pen Revolution.
Thank you, the FPR guys. They have a flexible
Right,
steel nib that's Indian made.
right.
The Flexible Nib Factory also sells those. Now, why I bring them up, they're CNC machined, but he offers different housings and feeds. So if I want to take a Bach nib and put it into a pen that's threaded for Yovo housing, he's got a feed that you can pair with it. It's all ebonite, but I can take that Bach nib, pop it in there, and plug it into any of my Yovo pens, and vice versa. If you got a Bach housing and you want a Yovo nib, he's got a housing and feed that you can replace that's made specifically to take that Yovo nib and go back and forth. So we can do that, but you know, you can't just take a Bach nib and swap it out. It's not going to work. In fact, a Bach nib and a Yovo housing, it will fall out. It's not snug.
All right, then our last question. What makes, and I get all this a lot, and I've answered it, and I'll let the master answer it. What makes a pen burp?
There's a couple reasons why pens burp. The biggest reason, I think off the top of my head, is there isn't enough airflow. The section in the feed can't breathe. So you build up kind of back pressure as you're writing with it, and it'll happen when your eyedropper is on, right? The nib or the feed is struggling to keep up, and you're getting some back pressure built up, and all of a sudden you go all over the paper. Cutting an extra breather hole in the back of, and I wouldn't recommend you doing this on your own unless you know what you're doing, but in the back of the nib housing, a little extra breather hole can help. Increasing the feed or the flow will definitely help. Sometimes you get burping because you create too much of a vacuum. Your threads are sealed too tight and there isn't enough flow, and you get a little vacuum buildup, and then you kind of tip it one way or the other and it changes pressure and it'll expel. But, you know, and I've had pens I've made. I made an Avant Co pen, and I was using an extra fine nib in it. It was a Yovo steel, and the Avant Co can hold almost 5 mil of ink when you put it in there. So it's got a lot in there. But for the life of me, I couldn't get it to stop burping, no matter what I did to it. It wasn't until I put a broad nib in there with a better ink flow that it would subside. So, you know, that's in general why it happens.
Well, okay, so that's going to conclude this part one with Jim Hinze. Then we're going to see Jim actually do some work on that lathe
we're
machine.
gonna fire up the lathe, and
So,
I think we're gonna make Larry a pen today.
yeah, so before I say bye and restart it again, show them that resin, that blank we're going to use.
Which one? This one?
No.
No, that blue.
This one?
Oh, the blue one. Okay.
Yeah, I do love that one too.
So that's the same resin as what the Collier.
Right,
What,
that black one.
what's the name of the?
The Starless knife.
No.
No.
You added Edison in your
Lapis,
top 30, the
lapis.
lapis blue.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
same resin that Edison uses for the lapis blue.
Yeah, yeah, yep. So, all right, folks, well, thank you for joining me today on part 1 on Larry's Fountain Pen Review. Stay tuned for part 2.